What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ryan Brower. Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. It's great that you all decided to tune in and watch this video. I am once again joined with my good friend Caleb. If you want to say hi.
Hey guys, Coat Luck here. Good to be back.
Yeah, so in today's video, I thought, we would continue our Star Wars Celebration topic. Now, while he was only there, Caleb was only there on Friday, I still had 2 more days of fun there. So I thought, you know what would be a better way to just, be able to talk about that fun in front of you guys. So the way Saturday kind of kicked off, it was just back to, standing in line for about an hour. Again, it was very similar to what we had did on Friday. We're just looking for, a bunch of cosplayers and stuff, be like, oh, look at this person and look at that person. And, and then once we got into the celebration, the exhibit hall, it was very much similar. We went around and looked at a bunch of different toy booths again, and we, It was very different though without you there because I don't know much about the twists. I'm like, oh, too bad I don't have Caleb here. I don't know what all these I'm not a huge action figure collector, so I'm really not a collector. Period. So I don't really know what's worth what, if this is worth, you know what I mean? Like someone could have probably swindled me if I would have bought anything.
I mean, there were a couple of higher priced items kind of scalping there. But, I mean, most of it was pretty good. Like, the Barris Offie I believe I got it for 15, maybe 20. But I saw it at another booth for 40. It's like, no, it's definitely not worth that much. Nobody buy that, please.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if anyone ever did.
They probably did, just because it wasn't at the other booth anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. So Saturday was very much my day of photo op and autograph sessions that were going on that day. I had a lot of them because I had back ahead of time I had wanted to get photo ops with a bunch of people, and I wanted to get an autograph from Sam Witwer just because I love the guy so much. And I had mentioned in my Star Wars Celebration video when I talked about my Friday. When I was there on Friday, wow, I'm totally messing up on my words right now. But I had talked about how I had saw Sam Witwer behind a curtain, and I heard his voice. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Sam Witwer. I'm like, oh, it made me more hyped to when I finally got to meet him. One of the very few negatives that I had about Celebration, besides just the fact that, long lines, which I expected to happen because it's Celebration and there were a lot of people there. Way too many lines. But the thing that upset me the most was that and I've mentioned this in both my Celebration videos so far, they changed all of the times on me for my autograph and photo op stuff. So I was supposed to have a Sam Witwer photo op, a Sam Witwer autograph at 11 o'clock, a Venessa Marshall photo op at 11:20. For those who don't know, Venessa Marshall is the voice of Hera Syndulla in Star Wars Rebels. Because I'm a big Rebels guy and I wanted to try and meet as many of the Rebels cast as I could. I met Tia the day before, and I had
Did you get to meet Freddie?
I didn't get to meet Freddie, and I don't know if Taylor was signing or not. Maybe he was signing on the days I wasn't there. Freddie, I think at that point I was also out of money, and there were other people that I wanted to meet
Freddie
too.
Was kind of booked.
Yeah. And obviously Freddie too is obviously very popular, so I wouldn't be surprised if they sold out on him. 11 o'clock Sam, 11:20 Venessa, and James Arnold Taylor at 11:50, I believe.
So.
Yes. So they changed the times on me to where my Venessa Marshall photo op was moved to 11 o'clock, which was the same time as my Sam Witwer autograph signing. So I was like, shoot, how am I going to do this? So I'm like, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll get in line for Sam Witwer and hopefully just rush it to Venessa and make it in time. So this is where... Alright, so I was the second person in line to meet Sam Witwer. And I think, other than the Clone Wars panel, I probably had, the biggest moment of celebration for me was right there, because I was waiting in line. People started getting in line, to meet Sam Witwer. It wasn't a very big line at the time. But I was sitting there and I was looking at the Darth Maul booth and stuff, and I was talking with a kid next to me, and we were talking, he was cosplaying as Revenge of the Sith, Anakin Skywalker, and I got to know him a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. So you're just sitting there, and I was kind of looking at the booth like, I'm wondering which one I'm going to have, which photo I'm going to have him sign, because I see like stuff from Force Unleashed, which I'm a big Force Unleashed guy. I saw a lot of Maul photos and stuff, and part of the reason why I love Maul so much is because of what Sam brought to the character. And so I was just kind of thinking, like, what am I going to have him sign? What am I going to have, and what am I going to say to him? All of a sudden, I'm just sitting there, and from around his booth comes Dave Filoni. And I look over, and I think I'm the first one to notice him, too. I'm like, is that Dave Filoni? It's Dave! And I just yell, Dave! And like, everyone else around me just like, oh my gosh, it's Dave Filoni! And Dave was like, hi guys, hi, his typical Dave voice. It was so good. And
I don't know if you've mentioned this on the channel before, but Dave Filoni is our god.
Oh my gosh, he is... Hallelujah. Yes, Dave Filoni is our Star Wars god. He is just absolutely incredible. In all honesty, he's the reason why Star Wars is a success right now. Like, in all honesty, like, of course, J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, Gareth Edwards, they've all been directing these movies, but Dave has really just kept, the stories that he can tell. And part of the reason why he is so good, and he's said this on many occasions, is that he learned from the master. He learned from George. And so he took everything that George taught him, and he's pretty much put that into his storytelling. And we're even to the point now where Kathleen Kennedy is starting to acknowledge how good he is, because she's getting there. Because at the the Mandalorian panel the next day, they had mentioned how like it was Jon Favreau's project, and I think it was Kathleen was the one who said, you can do this project, but like I'm gonna give you Dave Filoni to help you out. Just because she knows how good of a storyteller he is. I think by far he is the best storyteller in Star Wars.
I would agree as far as like film and animation type stories. I don't know about like books and novels and stuff like that. He could probably do it, but he's more of a screenplay type visual storyteller.
Yeah. I think also too, just because like both Clone Wars, well, especially Clone Wars has a special place in my heart because I grew up watching it, and I just loved all the stories told there, and I thought he did a great job with Rebels as well. And I know he hasn't had a big hand on Resistance, which, I mean, Resistance has been okay, but that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother video.
I'm sure we'll get to that. I haven't even watched but the first 10 minutes of the first episode.
I'm sure we'll get to it eventually. But back to what I was... So Dave goes up to Sam's booth, and there's a bunch of, like, there's like a stack of Post-it notes there, right? And he takes a Post-it note and he starts drawing on it. And he draws this picture of Maul's face on it. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I'm taking pictures the whole time. By the way, too, I'm like, all right, picture. And then, oh my gosh, he's walking toward us, picture. And he started talking with a bunch of people that were right next to me and stuff. And, I was trying to, like, listen in on what he was saying. I couldn't really tell. But I'm just sitting there. I was just so much in awe of, like, I'm, like, standing next to Dave Filoni. This is the greatest thing ever. And I think I did... When he had come out and I yelled Dave, I said, thanks for bringing back Clone Wars, and he just kind of nodded at me. He's like, yeah. And I was just like, it's so Dave. I was like, I'm standing right next to Dave Filoni. Dave's
a real humble guy. So
he is a really humble guy. He really is. And so he goes away, and about... Sam was about like 15-20 minutes late to his autograph session because there was a scheduling conflict with other things. There were a lot of scheduling conflicts over this weekend, specifically on Saturday, and I'm gonna touch on all that. But so Sam walks in and he looks at the photo and he's kind of just laughing at like the Post-it note that has the Maul face on it. He just kind of laughs at it and he's like, oh, this is kind of cute. Someone must have just come up and drew this for me, some fan or something. I just yelled out, it was Dave. Sam looks at me. This was the greatest thing ever. Like, I could feel... Like, from one nerd to another, I could just feel the nerdiness coming out of Sam's face. Because his eyes just light up, and he just looks at me and he goes, really? And I'm like, everyone around me is like, I'm too busy caught up in the fact that, like, we're just nerding out over, like, the fact that Dave just drew him something. And everyone else around me is like, yeah, Dave just walked by and he drew it. And he just looks at me, he's like, that's awesome. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, this is so good. And I was so wrapped up in that moment, especially, I love Sam, I love Dave. So it was, I think by far that was one of the better celebration moments for me that weekend.
That's gotta be amazing.
Yeah. So I get up there and I meet with Sam. The kid that was next to me, I guess he had him sign a photo or I think it was a book actually. I don't remember, and I feel bad now. But I went up there and I shook his hand and I said, "How you doing? I'm Ryan." And I said to him, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to have you sign this Force Unleashed photo. There were a bunch of photos there. I had him sign a photo of what was the cover of Force Unleashed 1. And I said, I'm a huge fan of this game. I've played it like, you know, a bunch of times and everything. And he starts talking with me about how originally, like, a good friend of his who did the voice of Proxy, and as I knew it was David Collins, and I said, David Collins, right? And he's like, yes, it was David Collins. And so I made it easier for him to refer to him as David Collins instead of just his friend every time. Yeah. So he started saying how, like, David was not meant to be Proxy's voice.
Really?
So originally what they were going to try to do was bring in a comedian, someone like maybe Seth Green or someone who was known to be funny to do this role. David Collins was only a filler voice until they could hire someone to do it. And they said they started listening to David Collins do Proxy, and they're like, why are we looking for other people? We have a star. We have a star right here. And I said, that's absolutely incredible. And then I had asked him too, I said, so Force Unleashed 3, I know that it wasn't meant to happen because of the whole, you know, Disney Lucasfilm thing, but like, did they ever go like it was gonna happen, and did they ever bring you in to like film anything or record, you know, maybe content for the game? And he said they didn't really have the chance to because of during that time they were doing the Disney Lucasfilm transition or whatever, so they didn't really have a chance to do anything with the game, which was unfortunate.
Kind of fell on deaf ears, unfortunately. Yeah. Even though it was like starting pre-production and stuff like that, but never really come to bear.
Yeah, it was really
it would have been cool to have Starkiller versus Boba Fett.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the ending of Force Unleashed 2, like, Boba Fett, what do you have to, like, what did these rebels ever do to you? Like, yeah. Is Vader still, like, paying you? Like, I feel like he would have, like, as a bounty hunter, I feel like you're just looking for whatever pay job, right? So I'm assuming Vader paid Boba for capturing Juno. So I'm like, why are you still there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless Vader said, like, hey,
Vader paid more
if I get captured, track whatever ship I'm on and come and find me. So that could have been the case too. So eventually I just said, like, thank you for your time. And he said, like, do you want me to write to Ryan on this? I said, oh, that'd be great. Thank you so much. It felt more personal. And the fact that he asked that, I'm like, dude, thank you so much. That was by far one of the better moments of Celebration.
Maybe I should have paid for an autograph then, because it sounds like you actually get to speak to the people.
That was the thing. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I was almost going to skip past to the next thing. The difference between photo ops and autographs is when you're doing an autograph, you actually get to talk to the person for a good minute or two. Where with a photo op, it's literally just, hi, photo, like, gone. Yeah. So, oh, excuse me. Yeah, so after that, so this is where I got a little frustrated because I went over to try and meet with Venessa, and she was already gone, which I kind of figured was going to happen. So I go up to... Or, I'm sorry, first I went to the James Arnold Taylor photo op because of, I think it was already getting close to that time for me to stand in line for the autograph since Sam was late. So I figured, all right, let me go take my James Arnold Taylor autograph first, and then I'll figure out the whole Venessa Marshall situation. And I met up with Christopher, too, and Jacob, because they were getting a photo op with... James Arnold Taylor together, and so I get up to Arnold Taylor and I just say hi, I'm a big Obi-Wan fan. And he's like, yeah, and so we took the picture. I said, can we do the pose? And he's like, yeah, let's do the pose. I look so nerdy in this photo because I'm just sitting there going like this, because I do this, and you may be wondering, like, what's this? What's up here? Why do you have your fist like this? In my mind, I was holding a lightsaber and I was trying to do the Obi-Wan pose, right? So in the photo, I look so lame, and I've been told this by my family. They're like, what are you doing in this photo? I'm like, I'm pretending I'm holding a lightsaber. But James Arnold Taylor, he was kind of doing something like, I should have done that. It looked really cool. It looked like something Obi-Wan would have done. But whatever. So we took the photo. I was done with that. So I go up to the customer service counter to try and figure out what to do about this whole Venessa situation. I said, they moved the autograph times on me. Like, can I get a refund for this? And they're like, no, we don't do refunds here. I'm like, well,
of course not.
And so I said, well, you know, like, it's not like I intentionally tried to skip set photo op time. It was just that they moved them at the last minute. Like what was I supposed to do? So they said to me, well, we can't give you a refund, but what we can do is we can take the money that you've already given us and we can put it towards something else. And they said, okay, well, what other options do I have? I said, well, if you still want to meet with Venessa, we have a photo op tomorrow at 12 o'clock, I think it was, but I'm like, oh, I'm getting an Ahsoka photo op done at that time. I can't do that, and I really want to get to the Clone Wars panel too and everything. So I said, is there anything else with Venessa? I said, or they were like, well, we've got wow, I just messed up on that. We have an autograph signing with her tonight. Talking is hard. So we have a Venessa autograph tonight at 6 o'clock. Would you be able to make that? I said, yeah, I can make that work. And they said, autographs are a little bit less money. Would you like to do anything with the rest of the money? I just said, nah, forget about it. Cause like I had like $20 left and no one's worth $20 there. I'm just like, forget about it. I was already kind of disappointed as it was. So yeah, that was, I kind of went from a high to a low.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was kind of one of those things where I was just like, oh, I was having so much fun, and then, oh, the fun kind of gets brought down a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of happens when you run into scheduling conflicts, and then why would you put them at the same time?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't, like, they don't consider that people might want to go see both people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know there's going to be fans of both that have scheduled before you change the time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whatever, it is what it is. So then after that, I was really hoping to make it to the Star Wars Rebels Remembered panel, just because, like I said, Star Wars Rebels has a special place in my heart. I really wanted to go to the panel, but I didn't really have the chance to. However, while the panel was going on, there were like 5 or 10 minutes left during this panel, and I had walked in there just because, like, I wanted to see what was going on. There were some open chairs. I'm like, ooh, I'll sit down and kind of watch it a little bit. They were just doing a Q&A. I'm like, oh, this kind of stinks. I'm going to leave now. So I leave, and they're telling me, like, do you want a poster, sir? I'm like, oh, wait, I get a poster? And they're like,
poster?
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, everyone who goes to the panel gets this poster. I'm like, oh, sweet, thank you so much. And I'm like, I stole that one right there. I was like, oh, I didn't even go to the panel. I just randomly, like, I was like, I just wanted to see what was going on. I had nothing, like, they were just like, give me the poster. I'm like, oh, sweet, I'll take it. And it's a really nice poster, too, of all the rebels standing there. It looks a lot like the painting that Sabine did of the crew, like the final shot of the Season 4 finale, where it just shows, like, Kanan and all of our heroes standing there. It just looks so good. I'll have to wear that shirt and represent it on the channel. Nice. I got a shirt at the Celebration store that has that same painting on it, so I'll have to bring that one day.
I got that one on Friday.
Yes. Yeah, when we were at the Celebration store and I spent more than I wanted to, but that's okay. So yeah.
Star Wars is worth it.
Star Wars is so worth it. Oh my gosh. I keep losing my notes here. Just stalling for time just to look at Sisters of the Force. Yeah. So then, or after that, I did have a Sam Witwer photo op. I'm not going to say much about that. It was literally just a high photo done. The reason why I had gotten a photo op and autograph done with Sam Witwer is because back when I had ordered all my stuff, I had naturally assumed, and this was on me, like, I just took this into my own assumptions and I messed up with it. But I thought, okay, we'll do the autograph and photo op at the same time or something, because, I'm a big wrestling guy, and last year I had went to WrestleCon, and so what that's like, you get to meet a lot of, like, former wrestlers and things like that, and if you order a photo op and an autograph, you get that done at the same time. I had naturally assumed that that's how it worked at Celebration. I was wrong. But hey, I got a really nice photo with Sam Witwer, and it was all worth it. So then after that, I went to the Sisters of the Force panel, because I knew that Ashley was going to be there, who does Ahsoka, Venessa Marshall, a bunch of other people were there too. That panel was a lot of fun. I know that there's a live stream of it. If you go to the Star Wars Celebration, the Star Wars show on YouTube, they have the video of it posted. If you guys want to check that out, by all means. It was a very inspiring panel, and it was really emotional too, because there was a lot of, like, people sharing their stories or sharing stories about other people. Like Ashley told a story about a little girl who I guess is known in Star Wars now. She's a Darth Darth Michaela, I think it is. I don't know. It's this little girl who has fought cancer 4 times. It's absolutely like it's such an inspiring story.
I'm not really familiar with that.
Yeah,
story,
it's incredible. If you go and watch the panel, it's so incredible. I could be wrong,
but she's a Dark Side fan.
Yes, but I think it's just more impressive that the story that they brought to the table and everything. I thought it was so good.
Maybe she was using pain to get through cancer.
She pulled a Darth Maul.
Yeah,
she pulled a Darth Maul. I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die. I'm just gonna fall into a cave with spider legs and just wait for the right moment to get rescued by my brother. So then after
it's the best way to not die, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So then after the Sisters of the Force panel, I got my autograph with Venessa Marshall happened, which then looking back at it, I realized I actually liked it better that I had an autograph because I actually got to talk with her. So I'm like, you know what? In the long run, it all worked out. Yeah. She was a little late to the autograph signing because of the panel that just happened. James Arnold Taylor was actually right next to her booth. Like, his booth was next to hers. And he had actually come up to us and he said, like, we're sorry, guys, Venessa, like, I just got done texting her and stuff. She's running late. She was just at a panel. You know what I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to take a video of all you guys. I want you guys to cheer as loud as you can and show your support to Venessa and show her, like, how bad we want her here. And so we did, and we all just went cheering and stuff, and awesome. James sent it to her. So I was like, okay, that's pretty awesome. I wanted to say something.
Cool to do.
I wanted to say something to James, but I was like, I was too caught up in what I was going to say to Venessa, and I was so caught up with, like, I'm standing a few feet from James again. Yeah. Like, do I want to say anything? Do I not want to say anything?
Might as well.
I don't know. But, like, I never ended up saying anything. Vanessa got there, and I had her sign a photo of Hera from season 2, I believe it was. And I just got talking with her. I said, it sucks that Rebels ended. I was such a big fan of the show. But I think the thing that made me the most happy about it was that it actually got an ending, unlike Clone Wars at the time. It got the ending where, Dave ended it the way he wanted to end it. No one was telling him, oh, the show's canceled. Which is also, and I'm going to say, my biggest grievance with Disney, and it's something that I'm probably going to hold with me till the rest of my life just because of how invested I am with Clone Wars, is that Clone Wars ended, like season 5 ended with Ahsoka walking the way, and it was, I think, one of the first times that Star Wars made me cry because of how invested I was in her character. And then 2 weeks after that episode, we got the report from Disney, Clone Wars is canceled. And for me, like, I would go back and I would just, like, freaking drown in my misery. Because I'm like, why, like... why would you end it? You had, like, such an emotional ending. And, like, at the time, too, because Rebels wasn't out yet, I thought we were never going to see Ahsoka again. I thought they were just like, oh, yep, this is done. She's done. Yeah. Just assume that she gets killed off somewhere. I'm like, this is really unfortunate. So thank God she came back in Rebels, which is a video I'm gonna do. One of these days I'm gonna do a video about how much I love Ahsoka, and I'm gonna pretty much tell her story
Ahsoka
and why.
Ahsoka
Appreciation Day. That's what it's gonna be.
Absolutely.
So I was back to Venessa. I was telling her how much I appreciated Rebels. And she was like, I really appreciate that and stuff. And I also realized too, after I talked with her, I said, I could have talked with her about her other voice acting stuff that she does, because she does Gamora in the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series for Disney. Who did we say she did in DC Young Justice? It was Black. No, it was a Black Canary. No.
Well, it could be Black Canary. Black Canary does play a major role in, like, Young Justice, at least in season 1.
I don't remember, but she does one of the women in Young Justice, and I'm like, instantly I picked out her voice too. I said, that's Venessa Marshall. So, yeah, I mean, I realized I probably could have talked with her about that stuff, but...
It could be McGann. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Overall as a show, what did you think of Rebels?
Rebels was really good. It started off slow in season 1, to be honest, and it seemed to me like it was more of a kid's show in season 1. But as season 2 season 2 really
I thought season 2 was the best season, in my opinion.
Season 2 really picked up the show, and it was the make or break season for Rebels, in my opinion, and it definitely made it. And
Yeah.
once they got to the Lothal Temple, I can't remember what that episode was called. Shroud of Darkness?
Wait, which one?
The Lothal Temple.
Shroud of Darkness,
Yeah,
yes.
Shroud of Darkness,
Yep.
yeah. So that with the Vader vision and the Grand Inquisitor vision,
Oh, so good.
when Kanan got knighted as an official Jedi, and
Micro series style too, where Yoda,
Absolutely.
by the right of the Council, by the will of the Force,
Mhm.
dub thee I do, Jedi.
Knight of the Republic.
Yes. I love it. Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
Rebels was
And then Twilight of the Apprentice too.
by far, Twilight of the Apprentice by far is the best story that Dave has ever told. I've said that since it happened. I have said nothing, anything other than since. I think the one thing that could potentially top Twilight of the Apprentice is Siege of Mandalore.
Maybe.
Potentially. But I thought Twilight of the Apprentice was so good that I don't think anything can top it. Maybe Siege of Mandalore, we'll have to see. But I do have a high expectation. I have very high expectations for when Clone Wars comes back and we get Siege of Mandalore. I have very high expectations.
But I mean, there were so many Sith Easter eggs and like
Absolutely.
dark side on dark side conflicts.
The
in
Sith
Twilight.
holocron even,
Yeah.
like,
It,
whose voice was in
whose
it?
voice? Is it Darth Treya? Could be Darth Treya.
It's possible.
I don't know. It'd be awesome. It's definitely not Asajj Ventress.
Even though it was her
Ventress's
voice. I don't know what... Dave, why would you do that? Unless it is Asajj Ventress. But why would you... I'm not trying to rip on anybody in any way, but that was like the... Now I'm sounding negative about... People in the comments now for... When I'm like, oh, this guy's so negative about Twilight of the Apprentice. No, but why would you use the same actor who did Asajj Ventress if you're trying... Like, he even said himself at Celebration one of the years, I know who's in the holocron, but I'm not going to tell you. But why would you put Ventress's voice in there? Like, it makes it...
It's not her.
Yeah, it just leaves so many questions, and like you could have done a different actor, because like you can't. When we heard Thrawn's voice in the season 3 trailer, like I wouldn't have known that was Thrawn until they showed his face.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Thrawn.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't have known what Thrawn sounded like. So you know what I mean? Like you could have done anybody to do the voice. I just don't get why you brought back.
Nika Futterman.
Yes, that's her name. Yep.
She wasn't always a Ventress though, was she?
I think so.
Was she?
I'm pretty sure she
I
was.
can't remember if she was or not.
I think I'll have to go back and check. Next video, stay tuned. Maybe we'll come back to this and we'll tell you. No, but for me, Star Wars Rebels, I think, like he said, it started very slow. I think once it got to the episode, I think Empire Day was a good start because we finally started getting into like some of Ezra's backstory. I thought the episode after that, I think it was Gathering Forces, where they go to the asteroid field where the old clone base is, and Kanan fights the Inquisitor, and Ezra summons that giant creature, which I'm forgetting its
I don't
name.
recall the name.
I don't remember. It's probably something new.
Beast Trick appearing in canon. That's cool.
Yes, and then the episode after that, the first time they go to the Lothal Temple, I'm like, okay, this is where it starts. Like, this is where it's getting good. And then the episode afterwards, they bring in Lando. I'm like, yes, Lando. I'm like, this is a series now, people. And I'm like, you know, during all this time too, to kind of go back with like Ahsoka and everything, and not being, you know, not finishing her story, I was like, during when Rebels was going on, part of the reason why I could have been so negative too at the time was just like...
Lando Onaka, and I'm Lando Calrissian.
And I'm Lando Calrissian. I just wanted to see Ahsoka back, but I realized too, I'm like, you know what? I just have to accept it. She's not coming back. This is a good story that they're telling with these characters. I'm invested in Kanan. I'm invested in Ezra. I really want to know more about Sabine, because at the time we didn't know much about Sabine. I wanted to know more about her. And I'm like, you know what? This is a good story. I need to accept it for what it is. And I was really enjoying it. And by the time like the final episodes of that season came, I'm like, I was really invested in the story that was going on with Kanan getting captured and everything that was going on there. And then they did the reveal of like Bail Organa. What they were like, who's flying the ghost? And they show a hologram of Bail Organa, and I'm like, okay, so he's Fulcrum, right? I'm like, that's okay. We kind of figured like Bail Organa was in one of the first episodes that had to play into something. It makes sense. I'm like, you know what? This is okay, because, you know, this means we're going to get the Rebel Alliance more, and we're going to get the Ghost Crew working with, you know, the Rebel Alliance. I'm like, this is going to be good. And then they do the reveal that Ahsoka was Fulcrum, because you just hear Hera talking about protocols, and you just hear Ashley Eckstein go, the protocol has changed, and you just see her walking downstairs. When I first watched it, I was like, and even my brother, who's not even, like, he's an Ahsoka fan, but not as big of one as I am, he's like, that's awesome. I'm like, this is so great. And then they had the Vader reveal at the end, too, and I'm like, Vader versus Ahsoka, please. I'm like, I'm so hyped for Rebels to happen. So yeah, Star Wars Rebels is always gonna hold, even, you know, I don't just like Star Wars Rebels because of Ahsoka. Like I said, I was very invested in Kanan and Ezra. I got so invested in Sabine by the end of the series. Season 3, it wasn't until Season 3 where they started hyping her and making her feel like a big deal and bringing her character up. And I always said, too, I said, Sabine, I feel like, got more development in that Trials of the Darksaber than I feel like Ezra got in a whole season.
Yeah, he did.
It was, so I just thought, like, I was waiting for it, and then they finally gave that to us, and Zeb was a good character, a very good comedic character, the Uncle Zeb, as we like to name him.
Crazy Uncle Zeb.
Crazy Uncle Zeb. It was, yeah. So...
Well, I feel like one thing Rebels could have done better, though, is as far as Ezra's walking the void of the dark side...
Yes.
I mean, he was nearing the dark when he was with Maul on Malachor and the Sith Holocron and the Sith Temple. And then he opened the Holocron, or maybe opened the Holocron at the end of Season 2.
I think he did.
And then he seems more dark in the beginning of Season 3 when he pushes the ATRT or ATST? It's not a full
ATRT. It's an ATRT.
ATRT. Pushes the ATRT
I don't think
edge.
I don't think they had ATSTs in Rebels. They had ATATs, but I don't think they had ATSTs.
Maybe not. I can't remember if they did. And then after that, it was kind of, oh, Ezra's not dark anymore.
Yeah, that was really
Like, what? Where'd it go?
We had talked about this before, too. I said the best way that you could have... Because, like, after... Like, so... They start out in Season 3 where it's like, oh my gosh, Ezra could be going to the dark side. Then they kind of dropped that. And then they kind of brought it back up again when Ezra and Maul go to Dathomir. But it's like, I don't believe that he's going to turn to the dark side because, like, there's been no clues that he's going to do it. If you would have kept... for those, like, I think there were, like, 10 episodes in between, like, the 2 episodes that we were just talking about. If you would have, in those episodes...
kept the theme going, it would have been more
like,
believable.
even if you would have had subtle hints that, like, Ezra's doing darker things. Like, you don't have to... Like, every episode doesn't have to be all about Ezra. But, like, you could have had an episode about Sabine... and then just be like, Ezra does something, like, dark at the end, and it's like, oh, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna turn? So then when they go to Dathomir, and the spirits of the Night Sisters take over Kanan and Sabine, and he's confronted with that choice of join me on the dark side moment... You could have had a Luke Skywalker, Emperor Palpatine moment where he says, no, I'm not going to join the dark side. I love my father. In Ezra's case, I love my family that I have. I'm not going to betray them. And that would have felt like a better moment for Ezra to show, like, this is a true Jedi. Like, he had that moment where he almost went off the edge, but he went, no, I'm not going to give in to that. I'm going to stay true to who I am, and I'm going to, care for my friends.
But, I mean, he didn't really get that build-up.
That's the problem. He never got the build-up. There was no build. That's why I never got invested in the finish. Because there was no build-up.
But, I mean, it's hard to do in animation.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they could have done better, but it was...
But it's Dave we're talking about. So Dave, and I'm not saying, like, Dave did a bad job. I thought Season 3 was a good season, and I did enjoy the episodes that were in there. The fact that we got the Outrider in one of the episodes. It wasn't Dash Rendar, unfortunately, which there was...
It was an Outrider type.
It was a YT-2400, and I was very pleased that they brought that into Rebels. So I think it was... Commander Sato's nephew. That was the Iron Squadron is what they call themselves. Yes, we never really found out what happened to the rest of them. We saw what was his Mart, I believe, was the nephew's name. I think that was his name. They showed him later in Season 4 on Lothal with the rest of the Ghost crew because he ended up joining them. But we never really found out what happened to the other two. But that's okay. We really went in with this.
That was a Rebels tangent.
That was a very... But I think I had gotten through everything. Like, after the Sisters of the Force and Venessa Marshall stuff, we ended up leaving, again, the arena, and... I think for dinner, I think me and my brother... Yeah, we picked up Chipotle for dinner, and we took it back to our hotel, because...
Should have had Qdoba.
I don't think they had Qdoba. At least I don't think. But...
Qdoba's in Chicago. They just might have been pretty far.
Me and my brother were so worn out after because On Saturday, we spent over 11 hours at the convention center. We didn't realize it until after it was over, but like we spent 11 hours at the. I'm like, I'm worn out, and like I just needed to get sleep. It had been a long day. I did go and look up because there was a lot of stuff that did happen on Saturday that I wanted to see, but I didn't get to see. Like for example, I watched through the Rebels Remembered panel, and at the end, when they're doing their Q&A session, and part of me wishes I would have stayed before when I went in there for the final 5 minutes. But I guess the final question that someone had for Dave was like they had commented on how they have an like. Okay, let me set up this story, and this video is going a bit longer than I thought it was, but that's okay, because we all love Star Wars. So last year at Celebration, they did this big panel with, like, Dave Filoni, Ashley Eckstein, and Tia Sircar. The irony, you know, Sabine and Ahsoka, was that supposed to be a subtle hint at something, Dave? I don't know. But at the time...
When are we going to do the Sabine Wren Ahsoka
The Sabine Wren Ahsoka Tano show! That's another thing. We're gonna talk. All right, one topic at a time, though. Oh shoot! Oh no! My phone's on low battery. Okay, we're okay. All right. So we were talking. They were saying how like it was. They were promoting Forces of Destiny because that was, I guess, like a bunch of YouTube shorts and stuff that they revealed at the time. They had brought out a series of action figures for that. And, you know, like Sabine, there was one of Sabine, there was one of Ahsoka, there was one of Rey, and Dave is sitting there like, but there's no little cowboy hat director that's filming it all. Why don't I get a figure? And yeah, I want a figure. And like that panel, he was making a bunch of jokes about it, and it was funny. So someone had gone out of their way to create a Dave Filoni action figure. It looked so good too. And they gave it to Dave. They gave it to Dave, and they're like, and Dave started playing around with it, and he starts asking a bunch of questions. He's like, how do you think this panel went? He's like, oh, I think I did a good job of it, Dave, and all that. And then he says, gosh, Dave, you're so smart of a guy. Hey, about Clone Wars, Ahsoka, you know, I mean, I know we did Rebels, but that doesn't mean we can't change the story at all. Should we do that? I don't know, but it's your show, Dave. You can do whatever you want. And I'm just like, oh, Dave, I swear, don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
We don't like retcons.
We want one canon, people. One canon.
Story.
Yes.
At Rogue One. That's a topic for another video.
You and I could have an argument about that one, because he's very against the Rogue One idea. I personally liked the Rogue One idea. Do I think it would have been better if we would have had the Rebels crew stealing the Death Star plans? Absolutely. But for what it was worth, I thought it was a good movie. But again, a whole nother video for a whole nother topic. Mm-hmm. What did you say before that?
I mean a Dave Filoni action figure.
Dave Filoni action... No, but there was... Oh, crap. Was it Dave Filoni action figure? After that... Oh, crap.
That's all there was.
I thought I was going to branch off and talk about something else, but then... Oh, I forgot. Okay, whatever. You know, I think it's probably time we wrap up this video anyway. I'm trying to think if I had any closing thoughts, though. I swear I was going to talk... Oh, yes! Okay, it hit me like a bolt of lightning. How soon can we expect the Sabine Wren Ahsoka Tano thing, right?
Yeah.
For those who don't know what that is, so after the Season 4 finale of Rebels, they had this press conference, like, Dave was there, all the voice actors were there, like Taylor, Gray, Venessa Marshall, Tia, so, like, you know, Ezra, Sabine, Hera, and so... they were doing a Q&A, and the first person to ask a question is Donald Faison. And he's like, hey, my name's Donald Faison, and I'm a big fan. Who, for those who don't know, Donald Faison is a very big, like, he's a movie actor, he's a voice actor. He actually does the, he's doing the voice of Hype Faison in... Star Wars Resistance, which Dave had commented and said he's one of the only characters that he's ever made like the actual person. Like, he said Hype is very much like Donald, and he said that he just felt like it was such a natural thing to do. And so Donald's sitting there and he's like, so how soon can we expect the Sabine Wren Ahsoka Tano show? And the crowd started applauding for that and stuff, and Dave's like, oh, would you watch that show? And the crowd starts showing, and Donald's like, I think everybody in this audience would, Dave. And then Tia just goes, I like where your head's at. And then I'm just like, I want it so bad. And then, like, so Dave started talking again, and he said, like, the story has to be right. I need to know what it's about. I guess Donald must have ran back to the person who was holding the microphone and just steal the microphone, because Taylor was sitting there laughing and pointing at him, and, like, you just hear him go, you know what it's about. They're looking for Ezra. And then he's like, no. And Dave's like, no. It has to be more to it than that. It has to be more to it than that.
Look for Ezra.
I'm just like, yeah. Like, even if they would have done, I thought what would have been cool was
look for Ezra and look for Mandalorian / Jedi relics. That's all
you do a Clone Wars movie to start out the Clone Wars series. You start, Clone Wars goes on, then Rebels goes on. What if you had a movie to, like, end Rebels? So you almost kind of make Clone Wars and Rebels, like, simultaneous, like, two stories kind of back-to-back sort of kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, the prologue and the epilogue, you know what I'm saying? I thought, especially for Ahsoka, too, because Ahsoka is very much the franchise player of both, of the animated series, and that's not me being biased, it's a given fact. She's in both series. She's kind of the thing that branches both of the... She's the glue. She puts them together, yes, very much so. So yeah, you know what? I think that's gonna about do it for this video. We kind of rambled towards the end a lot about Star Wars Rebels, but it's fine, because we're all here to talk about Star Wars.
All
so
Star Wars fans, Force surrounds us and binds us.
Yes, I referenced that in my May the 4th video. I had said that. I said that the 4th is a power. It surrounds us, it binds us, and everything.
Not to make a Dash Star reference, but he's pretty good too.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, that's going to just about do it for this video. Stay tuned for my next episode on Star Wars Celebration, because Sunday was the day. We had one goal on Sunday, and that was Clone Wars. Actually, I also had my Ashley photo op, too, was also a very meaningful moment. Those two things is what I got most out of that day. So stay tuned for that. You guys are definitely going to want to watch those videos. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I will see you guys next time.
All right.